Hello, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, I see you very well, Carlos. Hi, nice meeting you again.
Hi, Sonia. Good. Thank
Okay.
you for having me.
Thank you for sharing. How have you been?
It's been good. It's been good. I think it's almost 2 weeks since our conversation, so it has been uh, has a lot of revelations, a lot of open doors since then, and a lot of things to consider. A lot of new energies have come in. So I've been processing a lot in the past 2 weeks for sure.
I saw you make so many videos every day. Appears to be almost like,
Yeah, you
good
know
for
what?
you.
It was the time. It was that the time was about right for me to do it. I was since the beginning of the year. I was feeling that it was the right move. But
Yes.
again, we will discuss that today. But it was something was stopping me. Something was not letting me move forward until I feel after our conversation a lot was unblocked, and it allowed me kind of to take that step, right?
Fantastic. I saw that and I said, yay, here you go, Carlos.
That's good.
Happy for you.
Thank you for your help as well. It was a team group, team effort that day.
An honor. So, what would you like to share? Something about you or your session, whichever you like it.
Yeah. So that, thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, it's I guess the opportunity is for maybe I'll give you a bit of background, right? Like, um, I think I started down the spiritual path of being awakened and start asking questions and start pondering about life. About I would say maybe 21 years ago, something like that. I discovered meditation, a lot of the ancient traditions and practices and all that. So I've been down this path for a long time, and I feel I have made a lot of progress personally, uh, in my relationships in so many areas. They are in a really good place, and I'm really proud of. If I were to die today, I will have no regrets, right? In so many areas. Um, However, there was this area that was always kind of like the rock in the boot, right? Like there's always a pain that I was never able to figure out. And I think it was in regards to kind of in the area of abundance, of wealth, mostly from the perspective of accepting uh, what I feel that is the birthright of each of us, right? To have that
Absolutely.
wealth, to feel rich, to feel abundant, to feel supported in many areas. Um, so I feel that I have allowed myself to experience that wealth from many angles, right? Like health wise, relationship wise, um, spiritual wise. So I'm healthy in that perspective. However, the pain point was on finances, right? Like um, on attracting uh, kind of money from the perspective of from myself. If I put up a personal effort, um, I was not getting the return back. Uh, However, I can do that from an employee perspective. For example, as an employee currently uh, in my current job, is comfortable. So it's not that that area is completely blocked. It's just that my next step was like, can you do it from your personal perspective? If you were to open your own business, can you attract that wealth? And that was where the block was, and that led me to find you and to try to figure out maybe there is something in my past that was creating that kind of blockage, right?
And we found out what?
Yeah. So what was interesting during the session, I was completely, I have no expectations when I came to see you, right? Like it was my first time doing a regression, like a hypnosis regression therapy. So I have no expectations. I didn't know how the process was, but I completely trusted you and your experience. And when I came to see you, I really felt comfortable. We had that conversation, like the intake conversations for 2 hours. You really tried to understand the core of kind of the issue that I was there to solve, right? You really listen and try to really pay attention and try to get to the nitty gritty of the detail to help me really focus. Maybe sometimes it's hard for the person to articulate, right? Like they have had so many that problem for so long that it's hard for them to really express it. But yeah, so it was very helpful to really. So the focus was to: is there something in the past that is blocking my perception, me perceiving that and accepting that wealth from my personal perspective. So that was kind of the main question, trying to understand what was in the past. So I feel like during the session, it felt very natural. Going within felt very natural, to really allow yourself to relax the body, and allow that energy that is within you to take over and to speak, right? Like the higher self. And then you took me to the exercise of starting to visualize, right? Like to practice, to warm up with that. Is like, can you see yourself? Where do you see yourself? So I saw myself in a garden, right? Like you could see the clouds, you can see details, the smell of the flowers, the color. So that was very, very, very interesting to have that clarity. And then the next part of that, once that was settled, is okay, can we go to a lifetime? Where is the most important point in the past, potentially, if it's not in this lifetime, in a previous one, where this all began, where this potential issue began. And then, so you asked my higher self to take me there. And I saw myself landing on a beach at nighttime. And what was most interesting is when I look at the sky and the stars, I did not recognize any of the star systems, which got me thinking that I was not on Earth. And that was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh my God, this is a lifetime in a different part of the galaxy, or in a different race. As I was incarnated in a different race. So, however, I saw myself as a humanoid. I was on an exploration mission. We were looking for life forms on that planet. It was so we learned later that it was a moon, part of a bigger planet. And I was there with a group from my race. We couldn't find any life forms on that piece of land. So we went back to the main craft around the moon, and then we went back to explore the oceans. So it was interesting to see myself from that perspective, right? Like I was my skin was like light bluish, and I see myself with yellow, it looked like hair, or like a helmet, and I had like a headpiece. So there was technology involved, but I felt very connected to. There was discussions about me feeling my home planet, even though I was far away from my home planet, I could still feel it. So there was a strong connection to the planet. Eventually, we ended up visiting that planet. And when you asked what's the name of the planet, the name came up, and it was called Adora, in the galaxy of Muria, right? So interesting that you get that level of detail. And it's matter of fact. It's like you don't even need to think about it. The answer is right there in your subconscious, right, level. All the answers seem to be there. So basically, we explored our world, and I realized that we were really connected to the planet. We did not abuse the planet. Most of the technology stay off world. We kept the planet really natural, and ourselves very natural. Our wealth, our value, we place a lot of value on wisdom, on knowledge. That's why we were explorers, and we will bring the knowledge. And the other part was that we will download the knowledge on the planet. So the feel of the planet was this repository of wisdom, and all of us had access to it. That's why it was so important. And then you asked me to go at the end of that lifetime, and I ended up seeing myself at the end of that lifespan, where I had 12 families, and the objective of that life was to be able to become a repository of wisdom, just like the planet was, and to eventually one day to travel back to one of the spots that you traveled during your lifetime, and to share that knowledge with that star system or race. And in that lifetime, I chose to go back to the Pleiades. And I downloaded my wisdom onto the crystals there, and they were buried in the ocean. And then I surrendered my body, my physical body, into the oceans, and that's kind of the end of that lifetime. However, the wisdom that I carry from my planet was now in the Pleiades, with the purpose of one day bringing it to Earth. And it was brought to Earth. Those crystals were carried to Earth at the time of Atlantis. So a lot of those connections with our ancient civilizations here on the planet. So it was, and in that lifetime, I had traveled to Earth and I had seen it millions of years ago, and I felt a connection with Earth back then, and I guess it's a connection that I still have to this day.
Why do you liked that this Earth has this blue water? That's why you came back this world, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, my home world, Adora, is a water planet, right? Like we were kind of amphibious in a way. So we were always attracted to water because water, it holds memories and holds frequency and can store information. So that's why Earth was so critical for us, because of the water and because of the capacity of the planet of holding information. And to this day, the planet holds the information, and these crystals, not just the crystals that came from me, but throughout history, there is so much still in the field of the planet, just dormant and waiting to be awakened and to resurface and take us to the next level, right? As a race.
Beautiful. At the Adora, you lived for so long, right?
Yeah, they said that the lifespan was 10,000 years, Earth years. So it was a lot. That's why you could have 12 families.
Many children, many wives.
Imagine that, yeah.
And then you chose to decide what is your last day. It's not like in human here, we are mortal, we don't know when to die. But in your life in Adora, you choose when to go.
Yeah, it was a very conscious choice. You knew that you have had your span, your time, and you felt complete and full of as much that you could hold as much of that wisdom as possible, and you couldn't carry any longer. So you knew that it was about time to pass it on, and in passing it on, you will have to surrender your body and pass away. So it was a very joyous occasion, just as beautiful as a birth. There was no pain, there was no sadness.
What a beautiful life it was, right?
Yeah, it felt really
then
amazing.
When you came to Earth, what happened?
Yeah, and then I guess I didn't come to Earth with that in that body. I guess over time I start kind of incarnating as a human, as an Earth human. So at this point in the story, you ask the higher self, what's the connection between that Adora life and potentially the issue that you're getting with your blockages, right? Like with your wealth blockages. And the connection is because for me, wisdom was so important. That was still innate in me. It was part of me. So much that I still carry to this day an etheric crystal close to my heart, which connects me with that planet and that wisdom, and allows me to access the wisdom of the crystals on the planet too. So potentially I have the potential to access that knowledge. And because of that, it was very natural for me to be a teacher. And that's what I did. As I started incarnating on Earth as a human, I became a teacher of wisdom. And that's what I did lifetime after lifetime. However, at the time, so the question then came, can you take us to a life on Earth where the blockages first began, where the triggering event, and the higher self took us to a lifetime around 5,000 years ago in Middle East, some culture. Apparently I was a wealthy part of the ruling class. I was part of that family. And that was maybe the first half of my life was as a wealthy aristocrat, right? Like someone well off, comfortable. I had a family, I have a wife, children. I was part of that ruling class. And we have dominion over the land and the people. However, I had an awakening. Something called me to retreat, to go into the desert, into a cave, and I was there meditating for a few days. When I came out, I was a different person. I had awakened again. I had my eyes had opened.
Travel start.
I know. That's what. And then I start remembering again, accessing to the wisdom again, right? Like, and that was my purpose, to share the wisdom. And I woke up to that, and I started speaking up, and I started preaching and doing sermons and talking to the people and bringing a lot of that knowledge that was supposed to empower and liberate, that lead to the salvation of their souls, right? Because when you empower yourself, you can make your own choices, and you become really hard to control. And the ruling class did not like that. They didn't like what I was doing. And even though I was part of the family, I was connected to that family, they rejected my teachings, and they asked me to stop doing that. But I refused, because I knew this was very important for the people. And I continued until eventually I was arrested, and my family was arrested. And I was given a last opportunity to really deny all the teachings and reject a lot of that. And I didn't do it. I stayed firm until the end that this was the path, and this was me, and I was not going to change. And my family was condemned to death because of me. And my punishment was to stay alive and to see them die. So they were not going to kill me. They were going to kill them. And eventually I was brought into the plaza. I was chained, and I was forced to watch. Couldn't scream. I couldn't move, but I could see. And I was forced to see them burn and being tortured and suffer. And at this point of the story, you and I could feel the emotions, right? The feelings.
Well, it was so emotional and wrenching. I couldn't stop crying. It was the first time ever I ever had that emotional wrenching. The way you are describing, each children, they dismember one at a time, arm and this, and poke the spears in their body, then to cut the head one at a time. You had to watch it, chained down, gagged, not even scream, not even say anything. It was so much. I just couldn't, my heart just was aching.
I know.
It just poured down. It's like
I know it was so hard to witness, right? And to describe it, right? Like
yes.
How cruel, as you mentioned, how cruel humans can be, and to that level of cruelty. And at the same time, these people that had condemned us, they were enjoying it. And that's the worst part. They saw it as a sport, because they wanted to create that trauma, not in the people that were watching, because the people that were part of listening to my teachings, they were forced to watch, the people in the town, and they wanted to create that trauma so that no one else in the future will dare to do what I did. That was part of
it. They did that on not only your children and wife, they did that all that your followers, 120 of them, and their children as well, one by one. Oh.
So imagine, Sonia, we were already feeling that it was so cruel that to see my family die, and then I see that was when they were done and died, that there was more, that they were going to bring 120 more people to die the same way, 6 at the time. That was too much, right? Like that was just so.
You didn't even know then. You didn't know that they did that too. But
no,
you were just, whoa.
It was a surprise to see that, oh my God, there was a following, and they had to die because of me. And they were given the chance to reject the teachings and save themselves, but they didn't do it because we love each other and we were family.
They were so loyal to you and your knowledge.
Yeah.
The followers of yours.
And even and they were able to, and they sacrificed their families and children, right? Like they die for those beliefs. So that was so painful to watch.
Oh.
And now I was understanding why, where the pain was coming from, that was in this lifetime preventing me from wanting to be in that kind of role again. I didn't want to be a teacher, as I mentioned initially. I didn't want to be a leader. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to speak up. I don't want to be in public, because the fear was that the people that I love are going to suffer the consequences of those actions if there is disagreement, or if the current establishment does not agree with it, right? So that was the fear. And it was all coming from that lifetime because of that trauma. And it traumatized not just the people that were watching, but eventually it traumatized me. And in that lifetime, I was exiled after all those events of that day. I was exiled, but I was a broken man. I had closed myself. After my family died, I stopped feeling, and I didn't feel the rest of the deaths. And that was the problem, that I did not allow the energy to be processed within my energy field. It all got stuck, and to this day it was still stuck. So I guess this is the big message for the audience today is to really, you have to feel, you need to grieve, you need to process pain. If not, it's going to get stuck, and you're going to carry it lifetime after lifetime. So I think this is the biggest teaching from this experience is, so in the regression, higher self asked me that I needed to observe each of the deaths carefully. I needed to look into the eyes of each of those 120 people plus my family. I needed to feel their pain, and I needed to forgive myself. And yeah, so it was and so we spent a good 45 minutes just on that scene, right? Because
so we had to work it out, that trauma, because whatever you brought, all these blockages all started there. So we really had to work, and then your higher self says, let's work it out. So we did that. And then you had 6 more, same experience down the road also, right?
Yeah, when that experience was completed, the processing of that pain was completed, the higher self said, it happened again 6 more times in 6 more different lifetimes. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So that was my pattern. I will wake up and I will try to teach, and the world was still not ready for that. And I will go down the same path. So the higher self is like, okay, you learn how to process this energy on this lifetime. So I'll take you quickly through the other 6. So we didn't have to go in detail in the other 6, but in a matter of minutes, the higher self took me there, and I was able to energetically process.
Bang, 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 bang kind of thing. Because you've done that one in detail, the rest is same. So it's kind of just went kind of quickly because you've done it once. So that was good. So it's all out. So therefore now you no longer have blockages.
Yeah. So and you ask. So that means this is the end of that blockage. However, there is still the possibility of me wanting to go back to where is safe, right? So, and that was the warning from the higher self. He still has the choice of going back to hide himself. So the higher self encouraged me to take a different path, right? To really accept the healing, accept the healing that had taken place, that now I was free to choose because I was not being weighted down anymore. And that is the energy that I've been processing for the past 2 weeks, right? Like, and I've been kind of quiet. I've been silent. I've been a bit more contemplative, a lot of reflection in the past couple of days, which led me to, I'm going to take the step. And then I start making these videos, and I'm making a video each day for the next month at least, just to warm up, just to get me started, just to get me familiar and comfortable again, right?
Yeah, I saw you one, and then another one next day, another one next day. So I said, okay, you're on the road now. Perfect.
Yeah, and as you can agree, like there is a sweet spot, right? Like you might feel like, oh, all these insecurities, right? Like lack of confidence, but once you start going and you start speaking, there is some energy descends, right? And fills you in, and the words just flow. And that is the energy that I felt for the past 20 years. But because of the blockage, I couldn't allow myself to express it that way. So this is my process now. Slowly, it's not perfect yet, but I'm trying to get myself slowly out there, comfortable speaking, and feeling and I'm feeling more confident, right? And see where it takes me. Yeah.
I see that now you are confident and you have so much knowledge to share with other people. Continue doing that. So what is the YouTube that people want to look at?
Yeah. So
They punch your name, right? They punch your
yeah,
name.
it's the name is Oneness Wisdom Temple, Oneness Wisdom. Or you can go to the onenesswisdom.com. That's the website as well. That's where I kind of, the repository of a lot of my writings and recordings and some of my arts, because a lot of the wisdom that I get is not just verbal, but it comes in visuals, in pictures. So if you guys go to the website, you will see that there is an art store that I have some paintings. It's an abstract, like abstract energy. And I was wondering, what is this about? I keep getting these images. So higher self, again, in my meditations, mentioned that it's called the epsilons. They are life forms that carry wisdom. And now, after our conversation, I made the connection. These life forms exist from Adora. They are from that planet. That's why I remember them, and that's why I feel compelled to paint them.
Wonderful. So that paintings is supposed to be shared. So you have to put a price on it and sell, and abundance will come, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
people
think
will appreciate.
that's the next step. Exactly. It's just being able to sharing the information, presenting information, and let the right people that are ready for it to contact and connect with the teachings and the visuals. And yeah, that is, it's just because I understand now, because of my past life experience, there is just so many ways that my soul needs to express, right? It's not just.
Indeed.
Yeah, as we mentioned, I was sometimes I joke that it would be so easy if I was just a violin player and that's all I did, right? Then you become. But in my case, I feel compelled to act and express myself in so many ways, through art, to writing. I'm writing a book right now. I'm writing a second book. The first one is with the publishers. So there is a book coming out soon. So there is a lot of excitement, and I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the energy finally flowing. So I think that's the main difference from after our session, that I felt more alive, more enriched with kind of life force and excitement to share without fear.
I can feel from you. It's alive now. So you're supposed to be write one book a year, you're saying?
Yeah. So in the meditations again, so I practice meditation is very critical in my path, right? So I was telling you, I do it like 3 times a day.
Wow.
It's like taking your supplements, right? Like you want to take them, and after a few hours you take them again, so that you always stay top. You have a top up, right? So I feel the same with energy, and meditation is like taking a shower for your spirit, right? That you just connect and refresh yourself. And in those connections, I felt that I was guided to write a book a year for the next 10 years. So it's, yeah.
Quite a task.
I know. So I already finished the first one last year, is with the publishers. Now I'm writing the second one, and we'll see where the next one goes. But it doesn't get revealed to me until I start writing it or I start thinking about it. So it's exciting. It's exciting because it's a bit of an adventure, right? Like a journey, a quest. You're piecing things together. As I'm writing the book, they ask me to go to this website or read this book or watch this lecture, and I get information that eventually goes into the writing. So it's a bit of detective world, so work. So it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with the audience, and as the YouTube channel grows, then being able to share, announce that the book is going to come out, and hopefully the right people come to it, and hopefully helps them in their path. Yeah.
Well, you lived 10,000 years in Adora alone, and look at the wisdom and knowledge they amassed. It has to come out.
Has to come
so
out.
Maybe one a year isn't really that great, right? Maybe more. Who knows, right?
Yeah, no, and this is true. I feel with everyone, especially those that consider themselves like star seeds, right? Like people that really come from that are not really original from Earth. We have had so many lifetimes, so many experience outside of the Earth realm that we bring so much. Um, and so it's opportunity to encourage as well everyone. If you're feeling that, for example, in my case, growing up, I was always on the roof of my house looking at the stars. Age
Oh,
age 6, 8, 10, I was always with my flashlight and my map, looking at the stars. So I've always looked up to the stars. So it was not a surprise that that's where I come from. That Andromedan kind of lineage is that is based on wisdom has always felt very comfortable. So after our session, it validated a lot of that. So each of us carries that wisdom from our past lifetimes, and it's a matter of moving past the blockages, whatever is blocking you. If you relate to my story and you feel like something is preventing you, then you need to look into that. What is blocking you, and do whatever it takes to heal it and to solve it now. Don't wait like I did for 5,000 years. Um, what's more amazing is that even after all that life, after all that time, we're still here and we're still excited, and we're still trying, right? Like any other person or any other being will be like, you know what, I give up on Earth, I'm gonna move away, right? But for some reason, I'm still here and I'm still trying.
resilient.
We really love this planet, and I think that's the reason why we are all here, because we really love the planet and we love humans, we love humanity. And we believe that humanity can wake up and can open their hearts and can really heal and transform the planet. So we're here because we have a lot of hope for a change. Yeah.
Beautiful. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. No, I think that kind of summarize the process. I think is the main takeaway, as I mentioned, is allowing yourself to feel. So don't ever close down, close up, close your heart. I think that's the main thing. And the book that I just wrote is kind of inspired by Joshua, right, by Jesus, and he's all about the sacred heart, that sacred space of the heart, and he mentions that is the gateway. That is the gateway to knowing yourself, to connecting with. That is the key for everything. So as long as you remain excited and open and full of love, you are going to be on the path, on the way. You're going to be on purpose for what you came here to do. When you fall into fear is when that center closes, and now you become only mind and only body, trying to survive and trying to think your way out of it. And then you become out of balance, and you're easy to manipulate from that perspective, and easy to influence and to confuse. And if you listen to the news and the world events, they're going to get to you because you're out of balance, right? The heart is what brings you back to balance again. It brings the mind and the body back into cohesion. And now that's what I refer to, that you become really hard to control, because now you have an experience of your authentic self, or your real identity as a being of light that is eternal, that has always been, it is now, and will be. And once you have that experience, there is no going back. Fear disappears. No matter what happens in the world, you stay centered, you stay in balance. And from that perspective, you can act appropriately in a way that is inclusive and beneficial, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you on the planet. So I think that's kind of where this is going, to help people to return to that inner balance and find themselves. And when you find yourself, you're free. You're really free to express without fear. So that is
What
the
a
big
wisdom.
takeaway. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all those.
Thank you,
Hope to
Sonia.
see you again.
Likewise, thank you for the opportunity, and it has been great meeting you and having a session with you and all your help. So I really appreciate it, and the time today.
It was an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you. And until we see, goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Until next time. Have a
Okay,
good day.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay.